Every morning seems just the same old routine. Blowing trees, writing these bars, line after line, mining for a diamond, but a dime is what I find. Hiding from the truth by simply coasting through these hard times with green, even though I'm feeling blue. But I gotta face the facts, girl, you know that it's true. That maybe what I'm supposed to do is not to get so close to you. But these days the only things that seem great are fading away, and the only time I feel home is when I'm alone or far away. But the road calls as the wind blows, 10 missed calls on my flip phone, so it stays closed. Staring out my window while my mind slowly goes off into my headphones, hoping that the dough will be worth it for the show, but who knows? Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in going up, we laugh like kids all day, and there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change. No, we're never gonna change. Man, day after day, it's just the same old thing. Working class life, and yes, it surely will bring a food to the table and a roof when it rains. But for the most part, you're just doing the same thing. A part of a machine with the ball and a chain. You try to be happy, yet all you feel is pain. It's a shame to use your brain and know that someone never changed. But if insanity's the game, then you can take my hand and play. Life has a rhythm that I ride to, and you can come along if you would like to. And I can show you what it's like to walk in my shoes, to learn how to love just like I do. Look me in the eye and you will find truth. I'm testifying to the lying in my mic booth. And you're hating on me cause I ain't like you, and I ain't like you. Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in going up, we laugh like kids all day, and there's nothing.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville, no one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license.
All right, everybody. Today is the 21st of June. And we are live, up and running. Today, it is Kicking It With Cause, but you have Al and Ship. So, come on in, say hello, and welcome. Hello, Ship. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fair to Millen for Father's Day. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you for saying Father's Day, because I was about ready to oops on that one. Today is Father's Day, everybody. And we need to recognize that, well, it is Father's Day. We should be happy. We should be happy to be fathers. For those of you that are fathers, for those of you that aren't, you have fathers, make sure to call them. And you know what? Happy Father's Day, because you should be proud to be a father, and you should be proud to have a father. In these days and times, it's a very important thing. That's how we learn a lot. I mean, fathers can be father figures even in the military. So, happy Father's Day. And welcome. So, Mr. Ship, you are a father, correct?
Oh, absolutely. A very happy father.
A very happy father. Good. I'm glad to hear it. So, everybody, I'm not going to be dissing fathers. There are a lot of these days and times. That is the thing to do. Oh, men. You know what? I don't go with that. Men are needed. Excuse me, I was typing something in real quick. Men are needed in our lives. We may not always have the greatest father. We may not always be the greatest father. But we are necessary. I mean, beyond the fact that, well, it takes two to tango, you also have to talk about the fact that men do play a role in upbringing. Men do need to be there for children. Women bring in a certain role model, and men bring in a certain role model. And people would, and I know there's going to be people, all sorts of people yelling, "Oh, male chauvinist pig! You sit there and you say no." I'm 57 years old. I was a sergeant in the Army. I have raised my own son. I have looked at many, many things as time has gone. And the one thing I see all the time is even, I'm not I don't say that bad fathers are still fathers. Bad fathers do need to, divorce is necessary. But that doesn't mean the father still shouldn't be in their lives as long as the father doesn't become destructive. Fathers need to be there. Ship, what kind of role do you take in your children's lives?
Oh, I take a parent's son most of the time, but now and then I become a friend for certain things when I have to relate certain times growing up, time periods, and then other times I have to be the adult and put the foot down and not be their best friends.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of translations as to what is a parent supposed to be. You see a lot of people trying to be best friends with their children. A true parent is not their children's best friend because the parent has to make the hard decisions. The parent has to be willing to say no. And if it hurts their feelings, it hurts their feelings. I look at it, I ended up getting custody of my son right before his freshman year in high school. And his mother had him. Hello, Heath. It's good to see you. His mother had him and really didn't want to take an active role. And the guy that she was with was giving my son a very bad understanding of what men were supposed to be about. Abusive, physically, emotionally, and dismissing him and his sister as people who have feelings. So I got my son, and I made a vow. And this is something as parents, it's a hard decision to make. How do you look at your children? I told my son, I will never lie to you. And I meant it. I never lied to him. I never, even if I didn't want to tell the truth, I had to tell the truth because I promised him I would not lie. And that
can open up a can of worms there.
Exactly. But it does. But the problem with, if you don't show integrity, you can't expect integrity in return. And my son had been taught to lie by his mother.
What?
Yeah, no joke. He came home. I could sit there and watch him do something and say, hey, you did this. And he'll say, no, I didn't. Flat out. And I said, son, I just watched you. I was right here. And he's go, no, I didn't. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So I had to teach him what true integrity is. Heath, 3 kids, that's excellent. Yeah, you might want to stop there. You're right. And happy Father's Day to you, Holly. Thank you very much. Even though you're not a father, you are a good person. Thank you.
Hey! It's our day.
Exactly.
No one can take our day from us now. Here.
And that's kind of
mothers have their own day. We have our own day.
Exactly.
We gotta keep it that way.
And that's what we need to remember. Fathers are a necessary part of the equation. I have heard women sit there and I'm not generalizing all women. Please don't take that wrong, okay? I'm not generalizing it. I have heard a lot of women say men aren't needed.
What? Men
and
are not needed.
or men are not needed after the baby's there. They're just sperm donors. Okay. Hey, Doc. Good to see you.
Well, if that's the case, I need to start charging.
Exactly right. You know, and the sad part is men are needed. It's not because we're children need points of views. Children need opinions, and children need perspectives. And if you sit there and say men aren't needed, thank you, Spanky. Thank you very much.
Spanky dropped off some snacks for you.
Yeah. Do you need some snacks, Spanky? Yes, Doc. I get that. Doc said he had a vasectomy, so he's not needed.
Awesome.
You have to understand, men bring in a different role. Women have a different perspective. You can sit there and argue with me till you're blue in the face. Women do have a role in life with children. Men
Absolutely.
do too.
Yep.
And it's and Ship brought this up. There's a reason there's a yin and yang, because men and women are truly opposites. Okay.
I could testify to that.
Yeah, exactly. We are opposites, and we should revel in that. My wife and I, we love each other. We will sit down and we can talk and enjoy great conversations, and we don't argue. But she recognizes I am a man. This is the direction my thoughts are going to go, and I recognize that she's a woman, and this is the direction her thoughts are going to go. Thank you very much, Spanky. We appreciate you saying that. Being a father is important, and giving a father's perspective to a child is important. And you may sit there and say, well, what are they going to teach my kid? Okay, you want to know what a man is going to teach? To a boy, he's going to teach him integrity. To a boy, he's going to teach him strength, discipline, responsibility. And I'm not saying all fathers are great and they're going to all do this, but in some way they are a role model of a man. And to a girl, that girl looks to that guy, her father, as to what men are supposed to be. What are men about? And she's going to sit there and try her best to figure daddy out, to wrap daddy around her little finger. But that's part of her then learning how to deal with men. That's her way of getting her perspective. And
it's also to show an example of how a man should treat a lady.
Exactly. It all falls in place. The mother is there. And I can hear it coming. And the minute I say it, mothers are supposed to show what the compassion and the ability to look forward and to say anything is possible. Where fathers are supposed to put their foot down and be realistic. You can sit there and say I'm being very chauvinistic, but I'll tell you what, at 57 years old, I have watched the most woke people take these roles on. And they didn't even realize they were doing it. I watch it all the time. That's the funny part. I would sit there and watch people who claim to be woke and liberal, and they're partners and they don't have gender roles in their marriage. And I watched them and they were lying to themselves.
No one lies to themselves.
Right?
Yeah, no one ever does that.
So at some point, this whole woke and male role modeling and women are this and men are that, it needs to, people sit there and say the gender roles are changing. Well, unfortunately, in some ways, they are right. Because there's a lot of kids now who haven't been raised with a father role model. Because women will, during divorces, purposely alienate the man to where he can't get near that child. And I'm not
Well,
saying all men should be near their children. Because I've seen
well,
some.
both parties end up doing that. It's just not necessarily the woman.
I agree with that. Okay. The man has a part to play in this. But it does happen. When I went through a divorce, and I've gone through 3 divorces. Okay, 3 of them.
Damn, beat me.
Yeah, right. The one thing that comes out of it is the child is not. The best thing you can do is keep the child out of it. Even if you don't like the other person, even if you just truly, the sound of their voice makes you want to jam ice picks in your ears, okay? Sit down with them and say, okay, we need to have an honest conversation about how we're going to explain things so we're both on the same page when it comes to this divorce. And not take it out on the child. I tried to be that way with my second divorce when my son was involved. And my ex wasn't. I paid the price. She won custody. But within months, my son wanted to come back to me. It took 4 years because of the courts, but my son wanted to come back to me because he realized his mother lied. I kept telling him because he sat there and said, well, Mom said this. And I said, you know, you can say that. And your mother can say that. But what do you know is the truth? And and she'd play on his heartstrings. She's disabled also. She'd sit there and say, well, I need someone to help me. And it played on his heartstrings. And he ended up saying, I want to be with Mom. Until he realized that wasn't the true motivation behind Mom. Kids should not be the fallout. Father's Day is here because we as fathers do just as much as mothers do. You can sit there and debate with me all you want, but we do have a role in parenting. You know, Ship, how many kids do you have?
One too many. No. 2 so far that I know of until someone knocks on the door.
Okay, I have to turn up your volume. There you go.
I got 2 for now until someone knocks on the door and says different, but but that's what makes Father's Days for me is seeing my children. That I don't need no gift or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's just it. The gift is our children. When I was in the service, I ended up being a father figure to many privates as a sergeant. And it came down to a lot of them, and they were, you could almost tell, a lot of them didn't have the father figures.
Well, isn't the sergeant supposed to be the role model for the privates to start with?
Exactly. But then you have to
give them guidance and structure, but also be their friend when they need a friend. But when they mess up, they're the sergeant, you know?
But that's exactly what being a father is.
Exactly.
And being a sergeant, you could tell the privates who had never had a father or had an absentee father. You could tell. Because a lot of times you had to go and help them understand that you're not out to destroy them, but to help them understand that they're a part of something and that being a part of something means something, and that they need to show themselves respect along with showing others respect and being responsible because of the fact that they're a part of something. And you didn't get that if you didn't have the father figure a lot of times. Because when a mother is a single mother, not to be mean, but a mother just doesn't have time to teach her child everything because, well, she's trying very hard to make ends meet.
Well, everyone has to work to make a living. So.
Exactly. And that's the reason I say it takes two parents to bring a child up, because both those parents, if they're working, have to show the examples when they're not working.
Absolutely. Plus, it helps to have some grandparents in there, too, to help raise your kids.
Exactly. The grandparents are the mature, yeah, okay, I'll let you get away with it, but you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
They're there to help be a buffer a lot of times, because the parents have to be the ones that look towards their child's future. And as a father, I think we forget that sometimes. With my son, because he's autistic, and autistic children, when they're growing up, they're so, everything that you do is seen, and whether they tell you or not, they see it. And they'll mimic you at the most inopportune times if you aren't careful.
Oh, that's all children, though.
But
especially when they're younger. They pay attention to every little detail.
Unfortunately, it's even worse with autistic, because they do that all the way through junior high and high school.
Oh, wow.
Okay? It's not just as a kid. With kids who aren't autistic, they start trying to become independent. And somewhere around late elementary, starting in junior high, they try to start becoming independent. With autistic kids, because their behavior's involved, they want acceptance, so they're looking for role models so that they will be accepted. And if you aren't the role model, they're going to find someone else. And you will know it. Because when they start mimicking someone else, you're going to see that and you're going to be going, holy crap, what in the world, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hold on, someone's trying to call in. Hold on.
Cool.
Hello? Hello?
Al.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Doc Derek. How you doing?
Hey, Doc. I'm doing fine. How's life treating you, my friend?
I'm vertical and breathing.
Well, that's a good thing to hear.
I'm doing all right. I had posted there in the chat. You know, I mean, we're talking about fathers and fatherless homes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I got into the situation. I married a German. My first tour over there. And 3 months later, I PCS from Germany to Fort Hood.
Yeah.
And that was in '98. My kid was born in 2000 at Fort Hood, and he's a natural American citizen. And after 9/11 happened, and it was time to go kill people, Derek, you go to war, I go to Germany. Okay, honey, you go to Germany. I'm going to kill towheads. Mm-hmm. And I was wounded and medevac to Germany to be stabilized before I came to Walter Reed. And that was the last time I seen my kid up until 2011.
Wow.
And he reached out and contacted me through Facebook. So that's one of those things, you know, we have to take into consideration. It is extremely hard to have a family in the military, you know, and family support groups and shit like that. I mean, they don't do everything. They try, you know, but it is extremely hard to have a family in the military. And if you keep your family together, you know, imagine a child in elementary school and having to change schools every 3-4 years, learn new friends, learn new teachers, maybe new teaching habits and stuff. Yep. You know, and it's sad that kids have to grow up without one of their parents. But I think that's one of the sacrifices we make as being active duty, but we really don't take it into consideration while we're trying to make babies. We know that TRICARE is going to pay for the delivery. We know that they're going to be in a good Department of Defense education school or in a school, close to post
Yep.
and stuff. And that's one of those fatherless issues that, can't really be helped unless you want to give up your career and get out of the military. And most of the guys that I knew would wait until they got Spec 4 or E5, before they would even try to have kids, just to have a little bit more money.
I agree.
And, more BAH. It's sad that their kids growing up without their mom and their dad, but it's not always the parents' fault. But then again, that's the the choice you make when you decide to have kids in a family in the military.
Yep.
You don't take into consideration those kids having to change schools when you PCS, because the military doesn't care if you PCS in the summer while your kids are out of school.
No.
You could PCS in October, November, and then all of a sudden your kid gets to a new school district and he has to start all over in the same grade, and it's not the child's fault.
No.
But it is, it's tough, and fatherless children is one of those things, most of your psychologists say that, families need both parents in the household, especially, if it is if it's a boy, or if it's a girl. Who's going to teach a girl how to put makeup on or put a bra on if her mom's deployed all the time? This ain't, who's going to teach a kid how to bait a hook and stuff, and it's sad, but it's part of the decision we make when we have kids while we're active duty. I appreciate the shows on Sunday night. Very informative. Appreciate what you do, Al. You're a great guy. Buzzard. I'm sorry, Al. You are a great guy with a great personality, man. I'm glad that I got a smile out of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And
all right, you guys take it easy and keep up the good work. It is, it's very informative and stuff, but I had to throw my 2 cents in there because, it wasn't my fault that I couldn't see my kid. When I deployed from Hood, my ex-wife, who's German, went back home to be with mom and dad. And after I was wounded, I was medevac to Germany, somewhat stabilized, and said, "Dad loves you, son." And went to Walter Reed and actually lived. And it was that way until 2011. And all of a sudden, I get a call, and back then telephone say unknown caller, and I ignored it. And it rang right back, and it was him. And I went over there 3 times to visit him. And I tell you what, being an American without status of forces agreement overseas and stuff, people can see short hair, tattoos, and American. Very, very different.
yes.
Very different being a civilian, because they didn't have a 9/11. And
No.
Muslims, foreigners are over there, like Hispanics are here in America.
Oh,
and very, very triggering. You have to, I had to learn to keep my cool while I was there because I didn't have the military to come bail me out.
So true. So true.
I greatly appreciate your show, Al. Very informative. You guys keep up the good work, man. I love to hear you on Sunday night.
Well, thank you very much, Doc. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good night. Thanks for the show.
You too. Have a good evening. All right,
You
everybody.
too.
Talk to you later. That was Doc, and he brought up a valid point. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. And as a military brat, I've been in schools every year in a different school, so I can relate to that as a youngling.
Yeah, when you're a kid, it's not easy to deal with the transfers and everything else. And as a father, we have to take that into consideration. We have to help soften the blow. We have to be there for our wives because, okay, great. What happens when you do have to PCS? Okay, you get there. You have to go to work. She's stuck at home dealing with getting everything put together for the home. And for that, you have to give your wife credit. But the turnaround is the father needs credit too. The father represents what is supposed to be a part of what we are in the world. How we see ourselves in the world. When I was raised, my father taught me how to look at the world realistically, and how my place in the world is my choice, and it's not about trying to showboat or to be the limelight, but to just what's more important is what am I in my world, and not what am I in everybody else's world.
So what are you in your own world?
I am just me. I am a simple person. I don't believe in I have to be a part of everybody's world. I don't believe I have to go out there and be a shining star for everybody. I am who I am. I'm a simple example of my life.
That's good.
I live by my word. I live by who I am. I live by my example. I don't change whether I'm here talking to you or I'm off air. My wife will tell you I am the same person. People see me game stream. I'm the same person. I don't change. When I'm talking about RVs, it's because I like RVs.
Oh, you liked RVs? Well, I forgot.
Yeah. That's the type of thing that we have to decide, and we exemplify and we emulate to our children. Like with you, what do you exemplify to your children?
I give them strength, teach them not to be run over by anybody, make sure that they don't speak unless they're educated on the topic or ask questions about it. So they don't stick foot in mouth concept,
Oh, yeah.
or make an ass out of themselves.
Yeah.
But yet they'll sit there in a challenge in a respectful way, authority, when they're in the wrong.
And see that, I don't see that as a problem. I truly see, my dad was the same way. He said, if you're going to talk about a topic, know what you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know how the schools have open house?
Yeah.
Every time I have open house, no matter what age my kids are, I tell the teacher right there in front of the kid, hey, if you have issues with my kid, call me and let me know. I'll be up here in a heartbeat. I'll take care of it. But if my son's right, I'll back him up 100%. And if you're right and he's wrong, I'll back you up 100%. But if my son's right, I'll come and represent him, just so you know. And they both understand that. Of course, normally my kid messes up and the teacher's right. But once in a while, your child's right, and you got to go in there and show them how to take care of business in a professional way.
Exactly. And the one thing that we also as parents should know is what our shortcomings are. I know when we had my son, and not too long after that, I became disabled. I had to deal with the fact that what I was and what I have become were two different things, because being a bodybuilder, powerlifter, very athletic, capable of quite a bit, going from that to where I can't even lift 10 pounds without hurting was a very big change. And being, wanting to be able to take my son and my daughter out and go and say, okay, let's throw the ball around. I couldn't even do that. I had to know what my shortcomings were and say, okay, I'm going to get them into this so that someone can coach them. And I will be there to make sure that coach stays, is teaching or coaching the way that I would prefer, or I will make sure that when we're done with the practice, because I don't interrupt coaches, they're supposed to be who they are. I will then pull them aside and say, okay, if you want my opinion, I would also suggest this.
You don't go running out there and tell the coach he's wrong?
It's kind of like being a sergeant and having another sergeant come and interrupt you and say, you know what, you're wrong. That just don't happen.
But don't we have sergeants that do that, or first sergeants?
And I have destroyed any sergeant that has ever tried it with me, even higher ranking. Because I've had it happen. Yes, it's not that it doesn't. But I make it very clear that if I'm wrong, I make it clear to any of my peers, or my higher ups. I'll sit there and we start, if they start trying to come in and say, "Well, Sergeant, ha ha ha," and it's like, I'll accept what they did right then, but then I'll get done with the situation. I'll go aside and I say, "You know what? I am a sergeant. And unless that person was in danger of dying at that very point in time, that was unnecessary."
Stay in your own lane.
And
Stay in your own lane concept.
you can correct me afterwards, and then I'll correct the situation in my own way. But doing it in front of me makes it very hard for my own soldiers to respect me. I was the same way with my own son. I'm not a mechanic in any way, shape, or form. My son is being autistic. He has to go into his strengths. He likes being a mechanic, so he went to mechanic school, and he also started mentoring under a mechanic. Well, that mechanic took it upon himself to start doing things that were beyond being a mechanic, and he wouldn't tell me about them. And it started coming back because my son started using a little bit more colorful language than I use. And I said, "Okay, where's this coming from?" And he just said, "Well, such and such using it." And I just smile at him. "Hello, Arturo. Thank you. Good to see you from Gun Barrel, Texas." I would tell my son, "Okay, that I'm going to consider this your work language. You want to use that language, that's your choice, but you don't use it around me. And I'm going to tell you right now, you use that language at a job, they're probably not going to hire you, and if they do hire you, you're not going to get promotions." And he said, "Okay." And then he calmed down with the language, but he was doing other stuff that I didn't know about, and finally I found out about it, and I actually had to go confront the other guy. And he was
I hope he wasn't bigger than you.
It's not about bigger. One, he was known for liking to get into fights.
Ah.
And
I
so
love those guys.
He thought he could intimidate me. And of all things, he made sure my son was around when he did this. And I just smiled the whole time as he's sitting there trying to get edgy and getting in my face. And then I smiled and I said, "You do realize that you're just a little bit older than me. And that, yes, I'm disabled and you have your physical problems." I said, "But you see, as a medic, I know your physical problems better than you know mine. So at this point, consider the fact that I know where to hit you to make you go down on the ground. You don't know where to hit me." And he just kind of stepped back, and I said, "This is my son. I have the right to be in charge of his life as long as he is trying to learn." And that's what I stood up for. And I said, at this point, he's no longer going to work underneath you. Because the guy was even trying to talk him about taking over his shop. And I said, well, if he's not going to be, if he loses that ability to take over your shop, he does. Because then I have to question the way you are, what would be expected of my son. Because he had actually introduced a gun to my son without proper training of the weapon. He just handed it to him and said, "Shoot it."
Some people assume a lot.
Watch your mic position.
A lot of people assume a lot of times when it comes to firearms, when people get to a particular age, that they know how to use it.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind my son knowing how to use a weapon, but I think it's proper training. And he wasn't. And he wasn't teaching him. So we had our back and forth. and I ended up pulling my son from him. It all comes down to role models. When we have to rely on someone else because we can't do what we need to. I mean, you look at what Doc said, okay? Children are when children are pulled from place to place because we were in the military, did we make sure that there were proper role models in place when we weren't able to be there? And when we were there, were we good role models?
Oh, if you don't have a very good, strong woman in your life in the military, or one with a very good backbone, does play a big role on the kids in the military. It does. That's for sure.
It takes two. And I think that's what I realize I've been kind of pushing on this, but it takes two. There's a Mother's Day for a reason, because we should appreciate our mothers. My mother is still alive. I appreciate her. I love my mother to death.
I thought you were really, really old there, Al. You're making yourself sound young now.
Oh, I'm kind of still in that. I'm not too old, but I'm not young. My mother is still alive.
Oh, that's good.
In fact, I bought her right before Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day? For a little after Mother's Day, I got her a Roku so that she could stream. Because during the pandemic, she was stuck with whatever was on TV, and you can only watch so many reruns of Gilligan's Island. And so I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm also going to give you my Netflix password." Okay, she had to have someone set the Roku up for her, and that took a week. They got the password in, and all of a sudden I get this text, "This is wonderful."
And then when you go try to sign into your account, it says you can't watch
it. Oh, no. More than one person could be signed into Netflix.
Right, but isn't there a limit unless you're paying for more login rights?
Well, I don't know. I'm not over the limit.
That's good.
So my mom is now watching Netflix. And it was humorous because all of a sudden she's got this new universe. My mom has to have people help her set up technology. So it was cute to hear her. She was very happy. So it's not that I love my mother, and my mother was a very big influence in my life. And as much as I didn't necessarily get along with my father did influence me in a lot of positive ways, even if there were some negatives. So remember, if you are a male listening to this, even if you don't have children, if you're going to have children, the minute that child is born, grow up. Be a sergeant. And if you weren't a sergeant in the Army, figure it out. Because a sergeant in the Army has to live his word. And that's what you have to do as a father. You have to live your word. If you say that you don't want to see your child do this, you better not be doing it yourself. Because children look at us for integrity. They look at us for strength, respect. Little girls look at us as to what they're going to marry. And if they see that we're pieces of crap, there's a chance they may end up marrying a piece of crap. Because they think that's what men are.
Well, aren't we pieces of crap in general?
Such an open.
It was there. I had to take the opportunity,
Tell you what, I'm going to say this because I'm not going to lie about it. I've told my wife if she would have met me when I was in the Army, she would not have liked me. I've mellowed out quite a bit since I was in the Army. I can truthfully say I was never a bad sergeant. I was always a fair sergeant, and meaning balanced. I always believed in being fair. If you did something, you paid for it. If you didn't do something, I made sure you didn't pay for it. And I made sure you got what it took for you to become better. But I was not... I believed in hard lessons. I'm the type of person that if a kid sits there and plays around a light socket, I'll sit there and say, yeah, shoot, go ahead, put your finger in there. And when they go, boom, it's like, damn, you won't do that again, will you?
Like pulling the TV down too many times.
I'm going to keep from catastrophe happening, but as long as I know they're not going to die, I'm going to make sure they understand it. Because you don't know until you really screw up what screwing up is. And I was the person who was always put when I was in an infantry division, I was the guy that they put in charge of the kids who came in with attitude. Because I was the first one to sit there and say, yeah, let's go out to the field. Just you and me and a couple others. And I would make sure they understood that their behavior had effect.
Cause and effect.
Exactly. That's the type of sergeant I was. Oh boy, there was stuff going on that I wasn't even seeing. Oh my. Oh goodness. Okay, I just caught up on my chat. Okay, guys, want to see my tattoo? There's my tattoo. Exactly, Doc. Lessons learned in blood are not soon forgotten. That's what fathers bring to the table. You don't see, unless a mother has 5 boys, she's not going to be the first. In fact, I've seen mothers who've had a lot of boys, and they'll tell you, the first boy, they were all hands-on and touchy-feeling. Second boy, they started getting a little bit rougher. By the third or fourth boy, they're like, they're just as bad as Dad. Yeah, go shake it off. All right, hold on. They want me to move my mic. That's me. But, okay, that is what being a father is. You've got to be... little boys have to know that you can't cry all the time. And when you got kids coming in the military, that the first thing they do is run to a superior because, well, I didn't like this, or they try to do whatever, and they didn't go over well. So they handed them to me. They'd put them in my squad, and I would make sure that before the time, within a matter of a couple weeks, they realized that they're going to have to suck it up. What do kids bring, or what do fathers bring to the table? How do you
good or bad habits?
What?
They either bring good habits or bad habits.
And I'm not saying all fathers are perfect. I mean, there are guys who drink, do drugs, beat their children. I'm not saying that every man out there is perfect.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm perfect. Shit. Don't ask my wife. I'm good. Other than that, I'm perfect.
Rob said, spent all day with my 3 daughters, not one happy Father's Day. Rob, the question is, did they know it was Father's Day?
They're like me. I didn't know until my wife told me. So.
And Heath says, my youngest is my man child. My younger two are wild ass girls. Yeah, you have to question where'd they get that wild ass from there, Heath. Exactly, Rob. You have to, as fathers, what are we really to our kids? And the translation, we're supposed to be the rock. We're supposed to show them what true stability is. Because, and I'm not going to put down a woman, because, no, like I said, I love my mother to death. I really do. And I love my wife. Women are supposed to give a child the ability to say, I can be more. They are supposed to give a child the ability to dream. They give the child a different perspective of the world. And that's not chauvinistic in any way, shape, or form. Because that means you're special in your own way. That's why we have a Mother's Day. And that's why we have a Father's Day.
Yep.
You know, my son, he's autistic. He'll never be capable of certain things, but it doesn't mean he isn't capable of many things. It just takes a little longer. And I'm being patient for that. But I'm still his father. I am he's 30 years old. And he's still learning. And he's still got a ways to go. So I'm still his father. I'm not his friend. Because he needs me to be his father. And we're father until we don't have to be. And that's the good part about it. I mean, I've heard people say, well, when can I start having fun? You know what? You're the one who did the tango.
Hey, they had 20 minutes of fun.
Yeah, you had your fun making it. Now you have to be there. If you don't want that responsibility, well, you know what? There's tissues and lotion in every store.
So what are you going to do after Father's Day? Go back to the norm, or do anything special the next day, or?
Father's Day today is actually a quiet day for me. Come this week, I'm going to be busy. I have a bunch of phone calls. I've got to get some medications ordered. I have a funeral to attend this week. My wife's sister's husband died. He's not even a year younger than me. He died. He's going to be laid to rest on Thursday. I've got all these, and I have to take my RV in this week to get the final stuff. I did get my ignition taken care of last week. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. What is that ringing?
Oh, I had to mute something real quick.
Okay.
Getting those, Father's Day texts left and right.
So. Rob is saying, be proud of your son, Rob.
Hour.
Yeah, I got my ignition fixed on my RV, and everything came back to life, so I didn't have to repair anything. This week we're going to get 4 out of the 5 things that are left to get done this week. I only have one thing left to get done probably in about 3 weeks. And then my RV will be up to fully to where I need it to be before I go over to Whidbey Island in August.
You're going to Island?
Yeah. It's north and west of Seattle.
Oh, okay.
There's a naval station there, And on that naval station, in fact, the picture that's behind me, that picture was taken out the door of my RV when I was
that was at Jeffrey Island, I thought you were buying that.
Huh?
Nothing. I was thinking Jeffrey. I'm just having one of those days, I guess. I'm off today.
That's okay. My last of 10, I couldn't be happier. 3 girls. Wow. 3 girls, Heath. Or 3 girls, Rob. And Heath, yours was 28. You were 28 when your oldest was born. I was 28 when my son was born. Or no, excuse me. I was 25 when my son was born. And then I got out when I was medically retired when I was 28. So, no, as we become parents, as we are fathers, we learn our lessons. And believe it or not, being a father is like being a sergeant. It is truly that similar. I have found that that's just the way it is. That's the reason you guys hear me talk about doing things like RVing and stuff like that. I'm old enough to enjoy it now. My son, he does still live with me, but he only has to, I don't have to watch over him. He truly can take care of most every aspect of his life. He just doesn't understand money that well. So he lives here, so he takes care of my cats. And my wife, we can go RVing. And he has his life. It's just sometimes he needs a little help. Oh, Rob says, living on an island on the coast of Maine. Oh, my wife would like that. He spent 40 on 8 lobster a day and 30 on 5 pounds of clams. My wife would just be all over that.
Isn't Maine cold a lot, though?
Yes. Yes.
I couldn't do that.
That's the one state I have not been in. I have been in the United States. I have been in every state but Maine. And when I was driving truck, I had a chance to go up there, but then a big old storm hit, and they closed the interstates into Maine, and I couldn't go up there.
So you're gonna put that on your bucket list?
No. I go where I go. I mean, right now, our favorite place to go is Whidbey Island. It's quiet. It's the trailer park is. I mean, if you look behind me, That's where my trailer was. You look at that fence. There's a big drop. The ocean is right there, and there's a beach right at the end, right underneath that drop, where you can walk. It's gorgeous. In fact, hold on. Let me look. I gotta find. Here's another one.
And that beach is far away from where they got that Chaz community going, right?
Oh, yes. I go around Seattle. I don't go through Seattle.
Right now, I wouldn't want to be in Seattle.
Rob says it was 95 yesterday here on the coast. See, today for us, it's like, geez.
Shoot.
I think we're up to 70.
I got 110, 120 heat index, so.
Yeah, I am that way with my Harley. It is nothing for me to put 15,000 miles on my bike. Yeah, exactly. And I'm on my 4th wife, and I was actually considering not getting married before I met her. I was seriously considering just selling my house because I didn't have custody of my son at the time, and I didn't know that I was going to be able to get it. And so I was going to sell my house.
I can eat here, but
and buy an RV and a motorcycle and just go from base to base and live on bases. And then I met my wife, and then I ended up getting custody of my son, and here I am. Search Operation Reboot Outdoors and Maine Veterans Project. Ah, that's need to consider coming up here, Rob says.
So, it's about that top of the hour, break. But got any cool stories coming up after the break?
I have a lot of cool stories. We have some fun stories come up, anywhere from submariners taking a plunge from Norway to, let's see, Vienna man fined 500 euros for deliberate massive flagellants.
I hope you got some good Florida stories, Gotta have those.
I try. We'll see. So everybody, tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break. Everybody, please stick around for the second half of Kicking It With Cause. Ship and I will be back on. We'll go over some stories and we'll just have some fun. Those of you who are fathers, again, happy Father's Day. And we will be back in approximately 10 minutes. Shots.
Coffee on a Tuesday, it's already been a bad week. My girls had a couple flats, and my dishwasher sprung a leak. From the kitchen, her complaining, it just ain't cute anymore. I get the itch and start to drifting towards the great outdoors. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too in my garage. I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. I just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Junk mail don't come out there. My phone won't ring. The only thing I want to hear is my reel with a big one on the string. That large mouth don't talk at all, and my weight just sinks away. Set him free, bring him home. The one decision I gotta make. I smell the honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too in my garage. I got rods up on John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. Just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. I got my tackle box in the front seat and my best friend in the bed. Don't come looking for me, 'cause I ain't coming home till long after that sunset. I smell the honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too. I got the rods in my garage down on the wall. Threw my John boat in the truck, filled my camo cooler up. I hit the reset, hit my spot, and heated that car. I just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. No, I ain't gone missing. I've just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. comes naturally. Daylight to dark is not for the typical man. Just a backwoods country boy, proud of who I am. Proud of who I am. Proud of who I am. Well, this is my rifle, this is my gun. Let's get 'em, boys, come on and get you some. Let's get you some. And I'll fire all my rounds downrange till the enemy hits the sand. Yes, sir, I knew exactly what I was doing when I swore to Uncle Sam. If you don't like the way I'm living, just remember that it's for you. I'm a redneck camel wearing son of a gun for the red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Pack my bags, headed out to the big sandbox. Just some good old boys and me, some medicine night. Well, the price of freedom, son, it don't come free. I guess that's why the good Lord chose me. This here's my rifle, this here's my gun. Let's get 'em, boys, come on and get you some. Let's get you some. And I'll fire all my rounds downrange till the enemy hits the sand. Yes, sir, I knew exactly what I was doing when I swore to Uncle Sam. If you don't like the way I'm living, just remember that it's for you. I'm a redneck camel wearing son of a gun. I'm a redneck camel wearing son of a gun for the red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. We do it for you, 'cause that's what we do. Catch me hopping out the car with some bunnies on my arm. We're so out of space that we're shooting for the stars. We got a little taste and we want a little more. So I'm whittling this shit to roast these hoes with the s'mores. We're heading coast to coast, never searching for the shore. We're going to the city where we get all our support with the next best thing while y'all are coming up short. All the fans, they want us. Ladies really love us. Haters always run up, man, they try to fuck and shove us. But when we tell them glove up, we turn fighters into runners. Come around here, get done up, you know we on a come up. Woken from a slumber, boy, don't give your girl my number. And you ain't never heard nothing like this. A little bit low, little high pitch. And you ain't never heard nothing like us. But everywhere we go, man, everybody knows now. You ain't never heard nothing like this. A little bit low, little high pitch. And you ain't never heard nothing like us. But everywhere we go, man, everybody knows it's us. It's like I'm looking for a rival. Been thumbing through my lyrics like they were verses in the Bible. Rehearsing the verse like every single line was vital. You do this shit for fun while I do it for survival. I'm coming out hot like the bullet from a rifle. I'm headed to the top, boy, I think I'll take the title. I'm entitled to this throne and I've been waiting quite a while. Been talking behind my back, but your girl, she likes my style. I'll add it to the list, then I'll throw her on the pile. Come in with a poker face and leave you with a smile. You came to face the facts, but you're all still in denial. Throw it on the vinyl like you can miss my raps. Haven't heard that one in a while, bitch.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
All right, everybody. We are back for the second hour of Kicking It With Cause. I am Al, and online with me is Ship. So come on in, everybody.
Yes, come on in and enjoy these cool new stories to laugh and have a good time.
With everybody talking about the fact that it is summer. It is summer. I don't know that from here, but where you are at, it's summer. And from where Maine is at, it is summer. Just not where I'm at. Have to continue. Oh, okay. Stefan has to get a ID card this week, so he's shaving his beard. Cool.
I bet that sucks.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, I've had a beard. You know, the type that ZZ Top had that would go down to like your mid chest or even lower. I have actually had that type of beard. So I know what it's like to try to get those things off. Ugh, that man, it hurts.
No, I love my beard. I won't take it off.
Well, see, now, you know, some of us do good with beards, some of us don't. I just don't. All right, everybody, we were talking about the heat. You know what? There are people out there that are enjoying the summer, and I'm going to start off, kick off. Do you want to do this story? Or you want me to do it?
Oh, you go ahead with the first one there.
Oh, okay. Subsurfaces to let Norway sailors take the plunge. In Oslo, it was an unusual sight. On a hot, sunny day this weekend, it wasn't a Norwegian Navy submarine seen plunging into the North Sea, but rather its swimsuit-clad crew who were observed diving in off the hull for a refreshing dip. With the men in trunks and the women in bikinis, a couple of dozen sailors were photographed diving off the hull of the submarine. Our soldiers also need to cool off in the summer heat, said the defense minister for Norway. These guys spend a large time of their lives underwater. This weekend they took a dive for a well-deserved break, some fresh air, and a cool dip. With a fleet of 6 submarines, Norway is tasked with defending NATO's northern flank opposite Russia's mighty northern fleet. 6 submarines, wow. Okay. So there you got it, people. You know, I'm not a submariner. I've known a couple, and this was back number of years, so I don't know. Does our Navy allow women now in to the submarines? Do you know?
I don't know. I gotta look that one up, because in that photo there's a woman, but whoever took that photo has some good timing, because see a bird in there, a seagull.
Yeah, wasn't that kind of cool? Let's go back to, yeah, just perfect timing to see that seagull. But yeah, you see some women there. It's like, when I was in, and this gets in the whole issue of men, women, who should be in, who, what, and everything else. And it's not that I sit there and say women can't do it, because quite honestly, women can be in a submarine. Yes, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I looked it up. Women are allowed to be on submarines. I think they changed that policy in 2011.
Okay. See, to me, and this being a medic, it becomes almost hard. And yeah, Rob just said, yes, subs are co-ed. It becomes very hard, and the people sit there and say, well, guys should restrain themselves. That's great, and that's wonderful to say. I'll back you up 100%. But that doesn't mean it always works. And sit there and say, well, then the guy should get in trouble. But that doesn't mean that the girl didn't just get hurt. And it doesn't mean that all girls are innocent in it all. And doesn't mean guys are innocent in it. I think, like I said, there's a balance. There's a reason guys are guys and there's a reason girls are girls. And I think...
I can't be both?
These days, they keep trying to tell you can, but no, you can't.
Oh, okay.
Your own chemistry says that you cannot. On April 29th, 2010, the Department of Navy announced authorization policy changing, allowing women to begin serving on board the Navy submarines. Okay. Wow. Times have changed since I've been in. And I'm not trying... I don't sit there and try to say, oh, back in my day. No. We have to recognize that men are men and women are women. And I'm not saying women aren't capable. But maybe we should have an all-woman submarine. So that you won't have the possibility of rape or sexism. I'm not kidding.
Space issues. Or space issues on a sub. They're very limited on space.
Exactly. And I don't my feeling is, not to be a smartass, and I'm not. There's such there was a reason I believe that the WAC Corps was a very good thing. Now, mind you, the WAC Corps back in the day was underfunded and only gave women certain jobs. I think that the WAC Corps should be revived, and women should get the same jobs. It's just that they would be all women versus men and women. So therefore, the temptations aren't there. The women keep women in line a lot better than men do. And vice versa. I think it would work better. Just my opinion. I mean, again, when I went into the military, I was one of the last two companies on my base to be an all-male basic training company. And I knew guys who were in the other companies that they had women, and they had all sorts of problems. So all sorts of issues. We didn't. We actually our company led the way, and trust me, we did not have all that in a bag of chips as far as soldiers. But we still led the way because we had that integrity of being all men. I think they should be all women because then there's that integrity, and I think it would work better. Again, just my opinion. So anyway, no, but I think it's funny the fact that they managed to get their pictures taken. How many times do you actually hear about U.S. subs getting, when subs surface and guys get off to swim? How often do you hear about them getting caught photographed?
I didn't think when our Navy ships went out or subs went out, it would ever resurface unless they're at port. That's my assumption. First, I probably just made an ass out of myself, but I never hear anything of them doing anything like that.
One of the ugly... Okay, Rob. If anybody has ever served on a sub, let us know. Do you guys surface more than just once, or just into ports? And two, do you surface to get air, swim, things like that? That's a question I'd love an answer to. All right, now, we all know about the whole, our country... If you guys have ever watched 90 Day Fiancé and stuff like this, and some of you guys have been stationed overseas, we see the differences in culture. We see the differences in how we do things. Our country actually does very well. Whether we want to admit it or not, you can sit there and stomp your feet and say the U.S. is all this and all that, but our country does well. Well, the UK has its issues right now with the economy. The new prime minister decided to do something that was controversial. You want to read this one?
They did something controversial?
Yeah, it was. People were questioning it.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Okay, it's apparently the plane used for Britain, the British Prime Minister, is just plain. No, nothing. It's a plain Jane. The UK Prime Minister orders official jet paint job. Prime Minister Boris Johnson doesn't like the plain plane he uses for state visits and has ordered a more colorful makeover to fly the flag for Britain. It was reported Tuesday. Boris doesn't like it being gray. He is getting it painted up.
So they're going from a gray military type paint job to something more colorful?
They're actually going to put the flag.
Oh, okay.
They're actually going to put the flag of Britain on it. In other words, something as simple as a paint job is even questioned because of the economy over in the UK at the moment, which I think is interesting. That, and I try to be positive. If you think about it, that says a lot about us. Our economy, even though it's coming back, is still doing so much better.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, squids were diving off the dive planes in the ocean. Ah, okay. A lot of times, to be positive, I mean, if you think about it, if you ever watch anything like 90 Day Fiancé, things of that nature, they're funny to watch. But then if you've ever been stationed overseas, you can relate to the fact cultures are so different. We have it so nice over here. Go to Ethiopia. Go to, what are some of the countries they've gone to? Syria. Just all these other countries, and they don't even have flushing toilets. They don't have showers. This one guy went to the Philippines, Manila, and their shower was a hose that brought water down from the roof that went into a bucket, and you use a barrel, and you use the cup in the barrel to wash yourself. And that's still going on today. No joke. You think about that. We still have so much. I mean, these days, if you don't have a flushing toilet, it's probably because you're too far away from a sewer line, and you probably end up with a septic tank.
Or you're in Florida with an outhouse. Or Alabama.
Or Alabama. You had to put that in there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
But we have running water. Simple things. In one place, she said, the lady walked in and says, well, where's the refrigerator? And he says, we don't have refrigerators. And she just got this look. And I love it because these people don't think about the cultural... They sit there and say, oh, religion. But no, the real cultural differences are even how they live.
Absolutely.
When I was stationed over in Europe, you wouldn't find milk put in the refrigerator because it wasn't homogenized or pasteurized, so therefore it could be kept out of the refrigerator. You drank warm milk.
Ugh.
Oh, tell me about it, right? That is just simple little things like that were so different. And you think about those now, and it's like, wow, I was stationed over in Europe, and I was happy to come home when I was stationed in Europe. The differences and the way they looked at life, the way they taught their kids, everything was so different. I enjoyed being an American, and I even sat there and said, when you look at it, we're spoiled. We're spoiled rotten.
Oh, absolutely, and I think people are realizing that too, with it being locked down and the virus and all that.
Well, yeah, and what I find interesting is with the riots and everything, you listen to these elites, they'll sit there and say we should feel shame for having what we have. No, we earned it. We
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Absolutely, we've earned it, and many others have given us that right to earn it.
The use of improvised latrines such as cat holes and slit trenches has become less common due to ecological and sanitary restrictions. Right, right. You're right. We don't do them hardly anymore in the military. But back when I was in, that was still the common thing. Now they actually try to bring in porta potties. They try to set up more sanitized things. Because,
Wow.
go ahead.
No. I was just like, wow, I've never seen a porta john out in the field.
Right? Jesus, 20 years plus ago, I was driving through a tiny village and staring at the locals. My squad leader reminding me that every one of them was an American waiting to get out. You know, Rob, when I was over there, I could say the same thing. Yeah, and Daniel, you're right. To a certain extent, we have the richest poor people in the world. You're correct. We do. We are not that bad off. Even our poor people are not that bad off, especially compared to over in other countries. There's no middle class in a lot of countries. We are one of the few countries that has a middle class. And we should be happy with that. You know, people talk about globalization and how that would be so great for the U.S. No, it wouldn't. Our ability to strive for greatness is what makes us America. And many other countries don't have that kind of dream. They don't strive for greatness. They strive to exist. And we can't help those countries if we ourselves don't keep striving for greatness. Because at some point you get lost in the apathy if you aren't careful. Yeah, exactly, Rob. He said, amazing what happens when the third world meets the first world. It is interesting to see what happens when someone comes over from another country. And all of a sudden they have these things. My dad was a minister, and our church would bring people over from third world countries. We would sponsor their families, and we would set them up so that they could, for like a year, they would assimilate, and then about a year, we would expect them to be able to start supporting themselves. It was so funny. The first family that our church sponsored, the family came in, and within a week, the firefighters, our fire company, had to go to their house, and our church ended up paying some major expenses because the family tore up the floor, which was all wood, and then made a fire in the middle of the floor.
Oh.
I kid you not about this. And they had to actually be told, you didn't need this. This is heat. This is how you get heat. Nobody thought to help them assimilate into just basic living.
Wow.
That is the interesting problem that you get when you have refugees or people who have come from third world countries. They don't know that you can flush a toilet. They don't always know that you just have to turn a little dial or push a button and the heat comes on. They don't know any of that. And it was just mind-boggling to everybody in the church that all these things, they literally, when they found that they did that, Moldova, okay, my son spent a whole summer in Moldova and spent $250, he said. Exactly. There are a lot of countries, so many countries out there that don't have what we have, and we should be happy with this. We should be proud. People sit there and say we should be ashamed that we are spreading the wealth. If we don't have the wealth, we can't spread it. So we should be striving to be that much more stronger, if you ask me. I've been to Vietnam several times. When you want a beer, you get a chunk of ice to put in your cup. Do you consider overseas assignments not a desirable in today's climate with soldiers getting bases locked down more often compared to us, say, a decade or two ago when bases frequently being locked down in terms of restriction soldiers? Yeah, you're right. Soldiers get locked down a lot more often now. Than when I went over. I didn't go through one lockdown. There would be days where they would put up restricted areas because I was in Germany, and they actually had a season when you would have protests. And during the protest season, they would say, okay, today don't go down to this part of town. If you do and you are hurt, you will get an Article 15 because you did not listen to us. So it all, you rarely saw, it took a really bad actor to get a base lockdown. Now it's like nothing. They're so hypersensitive that all you have to do is look wrong at some foreigner, and it's like, oh no, we have to lock down. You're being inappropriate. But it isn't the country. A lot of times, it's our own people that do that to us.
Yeah, when I was in Korea, we were on lockdown the whole time except for the last 5 days there.
See, we didn't have that. Even I know guys who lived in who worked in Korea, they didn't have lockdowns that often. He came back and then Coach Whip. Yeah, see, they're talking about what happens overseas. Oh, well, I'm asking the chat, and also Kaz as well. Excuse me. Kaz isn't here at the moment. He is...
he's on a secret mission right now.
Yeah, he's on a secret mission to...
he's trying to get the facts of the Chaz community.
That, and he has to rescue some cats. We heard of some cats that are being... inappropriately handled in the Chaz community. On to more stories.
Probably are, though, if you really think about it. Someone's probably doing something stupid with a cat.
Right? And that's the funny part is you have to sit there. What they say, the homeless are actually pouring into the area of the Chaz area because they're getting fed and bathed, and they're finding the Chaz community is finding that they don't have what they need because not only the homeless but the people that are there themselves.
Do you blame the homeless? It's a perfect opportunity for them.
Doc, the other host, is actually Ship. He does front desk, but on occasion he'll come in and let his voice be heard.
My sexy man voice.
His sexy man voice.
Women love it.
On to another story. Vienna man fined €500 for deliberate massive flagellance. Austrian police fined a man €500 for loudly breaking wind after officers stopped him earlier this month to check his identity. The police defended the massive fine, saying he had deliberately emitted a massive flagellance, lifting his backside from the bench while he was sitting. The accused complained of what he called the disproportionate and unjustified fine when he gave his account of the June 5th events on the news. In reply to social media commentaries that followed, the police in Austrian capital justified their reaction on Twitter. Of course, nobody is put on the spot if one slips out by accident. However, in this case, the police said the young man had appeared provocative and uncooperative.
Fine for farting.
I couldn't help myself. You can't make this up.
Wonder if he walked around with lighter.
Right? Oh! Stefan said I busted ass in the commissary and got yelled at by an E7. You know, I'm an old man, okay? Nobody messes with the old people. It is funny. I will watch guys, and I'm sorry, they need a shower or something. They just stink to high heaven. And they're old men, so nobody knows how to do anything. And it's kind of like, okay, fine, I'll walk up to him and say, you do realize that, yeah, something's not right here? Because enlisted won't talk to anybody. They're scared of them.
Wouldn't you be scared?
Yeah, I guess there's that myth. There's that worry that, okay, was he a retired colonel and he's going to go to a colonel and colonel's going to come down, you know?
Everyone knows someone.
Uh-huh, exactly. I busted ass during the sit-ups. Pretty sure I gave pink eye. All right, night, Rob. Now look where we've degenerated to is farting. Okay.
You know, everyone busts ass sometime in their career doing sit-ups.
Yeah, and Blake, you're right. I heard about that. The homeless stole all the food within the first 24 hours, and they had to tweet out help for food. You're right. I heard about that. The governor, and I actually live in that state, okay, and I do not live on the west side, do not associate me with those people, okay? We want to secede, trust me. There are problems with the mayor and the governor. The police want this thing to go away, and I actually know some police from that area. I've actually met them. Really good guys, and they know their stuff. They are just torn apart because they're being told by the mayor and the governor to stand down. And the governor is thinking he's all cool and smart by allowing this to keep going. He's actually pissing people off in the state to the point he's supposed to come up for re-election. And I don't know that he's actually going to get re-elected.
Probably not. I'd hate to be a homeowner in that area.
Well, and that's just it. See, Seattle is very progressive. They're very liberal. They are. I mean, they're obnoxious, okay? The problem is, even the Seattle people are not happy with this because business owners don't have a lot of them didn't have the right type of insurance. They're not getting reimbursed. These kids have destroyed so much, and nobody is getting. Nobody has the right. A lot of them don't have the right type of insurance. They're not getting reimbursed for this, and the state is not going to reimburse them. But the state is allowing it to keep going. So these people are even losing money on top of losing their shops because they can't reopen. And a lot of business owners over there are so pissed off. We should send a truckload of X-Lax brownies. No, X-Lax, tell them that they are marijuana-laced brownies with a little bit of X-Lax on top of it. There you go. Doc, this is over in
just
Seattle.
The white icing.
yeah, part of the icing. There you go. Doc, this is in Seattle. A bunch of idealistic, unrealistic children whose parents should be slapped took over a little part of Seattle and claims that it's calling itself Chaz and that it's putting up its own government and everything, but they have no money, they have no food, they have no realistic anything, and they're asking the government to take care of all this for them, but yet they're their own government.
Sounds like they want socialism to help them out.
Uh-huh.
How big of an area do they actually take? Was it 6 square blocks?
It's in the wrong area. That's the problem. It's in a very big. It's a very big downtown area. In other words, it's where a lot of shops are, and a lot of business goes on, and so therefore it has caused a lot of harm, and nobody, the governor's laughing because Trump said at some point this needs to stop. Maybe we should send in the troops, and the governor's saying, over my dead body, this is going to go on as long as I think it's okay. And it's like people are sitting there going on. Everybody, even on the West Side now, they're going, this should not be going on. This is the wrong message to be sending. And the only people benefiting from this are the potheads. They say you go into that area and you get a contact high.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm surprised a bunch of Bravos. Yeah, that's the problem is you can't go there. Military-wise, that's off limits, and they're not sending in the National Guard, and the police aren't even allowed to be in. They're not allowed to police the area. The Chaz has their own police that run around with bikes and try and push the bike in front of you if you try to do something. Although they did find guns in the area with the Chaz people. They
got their own Department of People's Police or something they're calling themselves.
Yeah. They actually tried to say that everything was going to be done peacefully, but then they were found to be holding guns. Quite a cachet, actually. And they were actually not registered owners.
Oh, wow. You got to register all your firearms in Seattle?
In the state of Washington, all pistols have to be registered.
Oh, wow.
If you want anything more than a pistol, you have to go through a background check, but it doesn't have to be registered yet. So they're talking about it. They're talking about it. Yeah, Daniel, exactly. They were handing some of those guns out, and that's the problem. So there's a lot of anger, and this is where the mayor and the governor may have some problems come elections time, because they think they're catering to a very small base at this point. This is the radical base, because even the elites want their jobs, and you're hurting a whole bunch of businesses, and people who were employed now don't have that, and they don't have the insurance to back up a long length of their shop being occupied. Doc, in some ways, I wish I was in a red state. I've actually had people talk. In fact, my wife actually was asked if she was ever to think about moving. They could probably find her a job in Texas.
Yeah, come to Texas. It's its own country. As big as it is.
Well, I hear you got your own problems. You've got liberals there.
And the California people are moving over slowly. Yes, yes.
What I think is funny is the California people move, but then they think that they're going to try the same thing in a different state, not realizing that they're going to cause the same problem that they're trying to get away from. Stefan says, "Come on down to Florida." It's too humid there. Thank you.
Florida has some good beaches, though.
That I do not object to. That is true.
Just move to Hawaii. You'll be good.
Yeah, there's actually people moving out of Seattle now because of this. It used to be a paradise for liberal thought, but at this point, they're even getting sick of it. So it will be interesting to see how things go in the next election cycle. Yeah, Mississippi is under fire for our state flag. You know what? I'm tired of the whole we want to correct things. History is history. You should leave it alone. It is what it is.
Oh, and companies are changing their names now and logos because of it.
Exactly. It's nuts. It is nuts. Let's get on to another story. I don't want to harp too much on negative stuff. Up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a UFO. Balloon-like object in Japan sky sets Twitter afire with the talk of UFOs or Godzilla. The appearance of a mysterious white object in the sky over northern Japan on Wednesday set social media ablaze with speculations ranging from USOs to coronavirus and North Korean propaganda. Television footage taken in the northeastern city of Sedai showed a balloon-like object above a cross on which propellers seemed to be turning. Officials in the Sedai Weather Bureau said it had appeared near dawn and hung in the sky for hours, largely unmoving until obscured by clouds. Let's see. Sedai annihilated a nightmare come true. It's Godzilla! No, it's a UFO! So, what was it? They don't even say in the story. I don't get that.
It was probably something from North Korea.
Oh, here they said it. They said it. Weather Bureau spokesman says it may be some kind of weather monitoring equipment, but it definitely isn't ours. So, maybe it might be a North Korean weather balloon. Sure. We'll say
North Korean nuclear weather balloon. Yeah,
there you go. Now, we always love to mock thieves and robbers. Robber returns the scene of the crime for his keys that he forgot. If you're going to steal something, make sure you don't get caught, and better yet, don't leave your keys at the scene of the crime. Sounds crazy, but that's what this guy did, and he never should have came back to get his keys. However, he really did come back to claim the keys that he left. This is how the story went. It was 3:50 a.m. on the Sunday morning when a woman called police to tell them that her husband had just caught a man breaking into their garage. Once the cops made it to the scene, they arrested the subject. During the arrest, on the way to being taken into custody, the subject kicked one of the officers. Police investigated and determined that the subject had broken into the garage earlier in the night. He stole 2 bicycles, a laptop computer, and a bar fridge. According to the police, the subject hid the items he'd stolen nearby while he returned other items to his apartment. The problem was he didn't have his key. So he was at his apartment but couldn't get into it. The subject decided he would stash the glass door of his apartment building smash the glass door of his apartment building so that he could get in, but he still couldn't get in to his place without the keys. The robber returned to the garage he stole the items from to look for his keys, and that's when the homeowner apprehended him.
So we're smart enough to break into someone's garage and house, but he couldn't break into his own house.
Right? The police reported that the subject was intoxicated and in breach of two conditions of an undertaking. The 20-year-old Brandon man was arrested for breaking and entering and theft, 2 counts of failure to comply with an undertaking, and 2 counts of mischief to property under $5,000, and an assault of a police officer. You can't make this up, folks. You just can't make it up.
Wonder if he got charged twice for breaking and entering.
You know, that is a good question. That is a good question. I mean, people just, yeah, there has to be some brain firing going on, but unfortunately, not enough. Hello, Casey. Good to see you. Oh, man. You can't make things like this up. I mean, truth is sillier, is weirder than science fiction. It just, yeah.
Never smart criminal.
You know, exactly. If they had any brains, they wouldn't be a criminal, as the saying goes. Although I don't know. I've actually known some smart people who were criminals at one point in time. Doesn't mean that they were smart during that time. Now, we want to talk about nudity. Here we go. Put your pants on when you get your mail. Police recommend or remind residents of Maryland town. Wearing pants has become optional for some people holed up indoors while obeying the stay-at-home order. A police department in northern Maryland town is reminding residents that's not an option when they go outside. The Taneytown Police Department left a message on its Facebook page Wednesday morning telling residents to put their pants on when they leave their homes. Please remember to put your pants on before leaving the house to check your mailbox. You know who you are. This is your final warning.
That's funny.
Now, in Maryland, indecent exposure is defined as intentionally showing one's genitals in public in the presence of others. A conviction can lead to a fine of up to $3,000 or 3 years behind bars. Oh, I can say that I haven't done that yet.
You know, so that's funny.
Stephen says, I'm wearing pants because I don't want mosquitoes biting my junk. Okay, there you go. There you go. That's the way to look at it, okay? Don't go outside nude because, well, mosquitoes can get into places you don't want them.
Ooh.
Ooh, didn't think of that one.
Fun, yeah.
You know,
I'm wondering if that person was on like a Zoom date or something and said, "Oh shoot, I need to get my check from the mailbox."
You know, I don't know, and you know, I may not want to know. I know I always have on a shirt, shorts, and some form of foot cover when I go out to get my mail. Now, can all of you say the same? I'm curious. I have questions. Oh, now you like computer games, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there is a granny over in Tokyo that keeps her fingers flexible by playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that's a smart idea.
Every day, 90-year-old Japanese grandma Hamaka Yori flexes her fingers to keep them nimble, not for knitting or needlepoint, but to keep them in shape for playing video games. The pensioner known as Gamer Grandma spends 3 or 4 or more hours a day battling monsters and going on missions in the virtual worlds of her favorite games, and even has popular YouTube channel for her fans. She says, "I'm passionate about playing games every day," she says. "Every day is an enjoyable day." Mori cuts an elegant, mild-mannered figure excuse me, with her hair pulled back into a ponytail and a pair of large glasses perched on her nose. She begins the videos she posts on her YouTube channel with a friendly Yakinawa and a bow. Oh, Yonichiwa, excuse me, a Yonichiwa and bow. But her grandmother demeanor disappears when she plays transformed into a gun-toting character in Call of Duty or a sword-wielding android in NER Automata. Don't know that game? Oh, Stephen says, "I did a bunch of yard work today and they removed my shoes and later decided to walk out to my car with no shoes or on and got a piece of wood stuck in my foot." Exactly. That's what I'm always scared of, is something piercing my foot. Being in the military, you just learn to expect the unexpected. Mori, who lives in Chiba, southeast of Tokyo, with her family, holds a Guinness World Record certifying her as the world's oldest gaming YouTuber. She's always gets into the games. Her only grandchild, 43-year-old Kisub Nago, told newspaper, "I think she is slightly different. Ordinary old people are not so enthusiastic about video games as she is." So, what are we going to look like in X amount of years? There you have it.
Heck yeah. So when people are not getting beaten by a 5-year-old game and they're getting beat by old granny here.
Exactly. Now you can sit there and say, "Man, I was playing and oh, shoot, that's grandma. I can't talk crap to her."
Yep.
She'll just look at you and say, "I'll put you over my knee and you will get a spanking of your life, child." I love it. Life is fun. You gotta find the smiles from it. All right, everybody. Believe it or not, we are getting towards the end of the show. And we do have a couple guests coming, so let's go ahead and go through that. On the 22nd of June, we have Wayne Maiden. Wayne Maiden is an Army veteran who has appeared in a virtual video during a protest in Washington, D.C. about the killing of George Floyd. We'll be on the show to talk about what went on in the video and during the protest. That's this Monday. That ought to be interesting. Sure. Especially with ICE.
That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's
we're
gonna
getting
be
towards the end of the
show.
we're getting towards the end of the month, man. On the 25th of June, which is Thursday, Command Sergeant Major Robert T. Craven is going to be on. Command Sergeant Craven hails from Swords, Louisiana, and is enlisted in the U.S. Army on March 1st, 1995 as MOS 82 Charlie Field Artillery Surveyor, and later reclassified into MOS 13P Fire Direction Specialist. He will be joining ICE on Sergeant's time to talk about how he got from there to his current position as the Command Sergeant Major in the 5th Security Assistance Brigade out at Joint Base Lewis McChord. All right, everybody, that's what we have coming this week. And everybody, we have shows. Monday is Monday Night Edition with Flash. Tuesdays are Pop Culture Wear with CQ and Radar. Wednesdays are our Donza days. Thursdays are Sergeant's Time with Ice and Spanky. And then Sundays are Kicking It with Cause, which is Cause and Al. I'm Al. Cause is out rescuing cats in Chaz as his secret mission.
Oh, I bet he's going to have a good story when he comes back.
I'm sure he will.
I can see him already whipping up one already as we speak.
If you knew the real story, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody. We are at the end of the show. You guys have a good week. Try to keep it simple. Try to keep yourselves safe. And remember, this is a moment in time. Time will progress. The earth will move. And you will go on. Don't let the crap get to you. Any words of wisdom, Mr. Ship?
Don't do anything I would do more than once.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
All right, everybody. As I always say, keep it simple, keep it real, and remember to smile because you just don't know who you're going to help, including yourself. Everybody have a good week and a good rest of your evening. Thank you for showing up. I love every one of you. We'll talk to you next week on Sunday. Enjoy your week and good night.
Before coffee on a Tuesday, it's already been a bad week. My girls had a couple flats, and my dishwasher sprung a leak. From the kitchen, her complaining, you know it just ain't cute anymore. I get the itch and starts drifting towards the great outdoors. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. I just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Junk mail don't come out there. My phone won't ring. The only thing I want to hear is my reel with a big one on a string. That large mouth don't talk at all, and my weight just sinks away. Set him free, bring him home. One decision I gotta make. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. Just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. I got my tackle box in the front seat and my best friend in the bed. Don't come looking for me, 'cause I ain't coming home till long after that sunset. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. I got the rods in my garage down on the road. Threw my John boat in the truck, filled my camo cooler up. I hit the reset, hit my spot, and heated that car. I just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. No, I ain't gone missing. I've just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects and mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.